Thank you guys for coming back to Cobra TV. Today we're going to talk a little bit about No Man's Sky and what could possibly be in the update, what you guys really want in the next update of No Man's Sky. Like, what is your expectations or wish list? And in the next video, we're going to be talking about a Planet Nomads update about the early access they're going to be releasing upon the world, and it is going to be amazing. But first, let's go ahead and talk about No Man's Sky and its update. We do know that they are updating the Eternal Branch. And normally when they do that, especially since we haven't seen any bug fixes here lately, it's safe to say that they are working on their next update. And when they're uploading something, they're seeing how well it works with the game. It could be just a small portion. It could be the entire update that, they're uploading and testing. But we don't know what it is, but they are active and they are testing something to see how it works with the existing game. We do know that they have a writer. And there is evidence of land vehicles all over the game in the game files and in some of the icons on nomansky.com. You can see one of the icons has a wheel rack and other things with the diagram of the land vehicle on it. So, that's a given, especially having something like that in survival mode where no matter how far along or far advanced you get, there's always the need for a land vehicle since it takes away your life support when you're walking. A land vehicle would be really, really helpful. But over on Facebook, I made a post asking people, what your expectations or wish list would possibly be for No Man's Sky. And at the end, reading some of these, I've actually seen some of, the ideas that I had. But at the end, I'm going to, kind of go over what I want. But what I want actually has a lot in common with a lot of people. And some of these things also haven't crossed my mind and may not even have crossed Hello Games' mind. So if you'd like to tweet this video over to Hello Games so that they could hear the ideas of some of these people that are still enjoying No Man's Sky, it might help a little bit. Some people have some pretty good ideas. One of the things that I would like to see changed, though, is, there's a lot of developers out there, and there's some that are super secretive about what they're doing, and Rockstar is definitely one of them. They're at the top of the list on that. But most of the time, especially indie developers, are always communicating and showing, progress of what they're doing, and just giving out these little snippets here and there, like, hey, we got this made, or they're very transparent. And one of the things with Hello Games is they're not, and something like that. It's okay, but when you have a game that was as anticipated as No Man's Sky, and then with the release and the disappointment, being quiet, I don't think is such a good thing. I would definitely want to be doing some advertising at some level, even if it was just me. Even if I was Sean Murray and I'm just sitting there tweeting out some pictures or a screenshot or, guess what we made, guys? You'll be happy to hear this, but we're not going to tell you just yet. Just something. But let's go ahead and go over some of these ideas here. Robert, I'm just going to say people's first names. I don't need the second chance there to get somebody's name messed up. But Robert says, well, land vehicles for sure, but honestly, I'm not sure what I want in the game at this point. Haven't played it in a while, so I hope they surprise me. I hope they surprise us as well. They did say that the foundation update was the foundation of building and the foundation of things to come, and that it was a small update in comparison to what they have planned. Legacy Zero says, welcome back, bro. Thank you very much. Jack Gall says, can you answer mine, please? And he gave out my real name there, Ron. Do you think multiplayer will be in the next update? And a personal shout out would be appreciated. Jack All, I am giving you a shout out now. You're an amazing person, and I'm so happy that you are with the No Man's Sky community and the Cobra TV community. But do I think multiplayer is going to be in the next update? I don't think so. I think that it's in the future of No Man's Sky, but I don't think that it's going to be in the next update. I hope I'm wrong. This is actually something I really want to be wrong on, and it doesn't have to be PvP. A lot of people don't like that, but it could definitely be PvE, or I think what No Man's Sky needs is it needs a better adversary in the universe. It needs something that's a common threat to all of us players. And I'm not talking about the pirates. It's just an annoyance. It's an annoyance. I think there needs to be a threat in the universe, and maybe this threat is destroying planets, for an example. And as players, we have to try and stop them, star system by star system. And I think that, that common threat and having multiplayer and having us come together, running into each other by chance or some kind of party thing where we can actually help fight these threats, that would be really cool. But as far as do I think it's going to be in this next update, I don't think so. I think this is going to have something to do with story, with the new writer being hired. I think it has something to do with more building options and maybe land vehicles, but multiplayer, I'm not sure. I think it's too soon for that. Sander says, will Hello Games ever start being more open to the fans of No Man's Sky instead of the long silences? I don't think so. I really don't think so. I think this is the way that they want to deal with things. I think the only way it's ever going to stop, and they're more talkative and things like that, is if they get an actual PR person, because from back then, Sean Murray hated doing the whole talks out in public. So now that the game is out and he doesn't need to, advertise, and he's not being pressured too much by people about the game. Well, he probably still is, but I think that the only way we're going to hear from Hello Games on a regular basis is if they actually hire a PR person, which I think is one of their downfalls, that they don't have one. Jacob says, when are you going to invite me, your best commenter, on as a guest? This needs to happen. I did invite him, and something happened, and he had to go to work, and he couldn't come on the show. And that's another thing. We have not been doing the live subcast for Cobra TV, and there's a lot of reasons for that. A lot of them happen to deal with work, life situations, and things like that. But it's something that I do want to do, because it was always my most favorite thing to do on Cobra TV is come on and talk to subscribers, or even people that weren't subscribed, and talk about No Man's Sky. Now that No Man's Sky's out, I really want it to be like a nice place to go and chat about games, all games. And if it happens to be about No Man's Sky, then it does. But yeah, I definitely do want to start doing that again, Jacob, and you're more than welcome to come on at any time as soon as we pick that back up. Jonathan says, I would like for them to add to the base game more parts for everything: animals, ships, multi-tools, gravity differences on planet, just more parts so there is more diversity. It's a boring infinity, and it all looks the same everywhere you look. I think that the game needs a lot more diversity. I think that they added a bit more with the Foundation update, but even still, I think it's just a bit too much. And one of my wants is actually probably something more people wouldn't agree with, but I would like to see a lot more barren planets. I know they added more. They increased the chances of running into a lot more often, but I think, if it was just a slight tad more realistic and you kept coming across barren planets, but there's something special about each barren planet, I think I would be happy with that. And then it would be rare to come across anything with life. Yeah, you're right, Jonathan. I think there needs to be a lot more diversity and a lot more in-depth. Okay, Josh gives his wish list: obvious multiplayer. His expectations for the next update are land vehicles. His question is, what else do you think is necessary to make No Man's Sky more, eventful? I think like I said before, I think a better universal threat, other than just the pirates. The pirates, they just feel empty. They do feel like a threat now. They are a little bit more serious until you get upgraded. Then they start being a little bit easier again, but more eventful. I think a story. I think a story mode needs to be put in there instead of a lore. The lore was really cool, very well written, and we did a couple lore videos on the 3 NPC races and learned a lot about the lore in the process. But I think that there needs to be a story, and I don't think the story needs to be a mode in itself. I think that the story needs to take place in the online universe that we're all currently in, so that way it's streamlined in the game. And as far as more eventful, I think adding multiplayer, adding the chance to run into another online player or meeting up with another online player via the terminus would be a great thing. Roy says, if possible, it would be great if pirates could follow you down to your home planet. You could fight them in your land vehicle and make more use of the armor. Example, base defense turrets. Yes, that's one of the things I was really disappointed about. It's a small thing. Is when pirates are chasing you, you go down to the planet and you get out of your land vehicle and they're completely gone. I think that they need to chase you. I mean, it would be so cool to be running away from a pirate, looking for that perfect place to land, to stand your ground, and they're chasing you through canyons and things like that. That would be amazing, and I think that it should happen. Do I think it's going to be in the next update? No, I don't think. Truthfully, I don't think events like that will ever happen in No Man's Sky. We're gonna have to wait for Star Citizen on that one, I hope. Joshua says, what are your thoughts on the Galactic Hub? This is interesting. Super interesting. I commented about this on one of Jared's videos, and he made a follow-up video. Now he's on his way to the hub, and Hello Games even tweeted about it. This would make a great video series, as you could interact with your viewers in a matter of speaking. This is something that I have been considering. Going to this hub, and I heard that it's not at the center, so there's not a whole lot of traveling. I think they made it close to where we all start, or not where we all start, but as far as the distance from where we start to the center, could still be a good distance for you to travel to. But we're gonna have to check into that. And what's really amazing about the Galactic Hub is it was made by, I think, and I don't want to misspeak here, but from what I'm seeing, Ron Scoville, if I'm pronouncing your name right, who wasn't even playing No Man's Sky in the beginning, and he created a way to pinpoint a player's location on the galactic map. Now, if I am wrong, and Ron hears this, or somebody else that knows about the situation, then by all means, please correct me, but I believe he was the one that made the way to pinpoint your location, and now has established a place for everybody to meet. And I've been meaning to contact Ron and ask him about the situation. And there's a Reddit link here, which I'm probably going to check out sooner or later. Tim says, okay, I'm going to go slightly off campus here. Sean Murray is slated to give a lecture at the 2017 Game Developer Conference, GDC, at the end of this month. It will be his first major appearance since the release of No Man's Sky in August 2016. His topic is supposed to be creating worlds using maths. My question, Ron, is do you think he'll field any questions from the audience about what went wrong post-release with No Man's Sky, or rephrase slightly what he might do differently? What would he do differently if he had to do it all over again? You guys remember, I think it was at the GDC. Might not have been GDC, but Paul Weir, the sound director for Hello Games, gave a speech talking about the procedural sounds and things like that. Well, one of the members, when it was time to ask questions, one of the members of the audience literally said, "Why did you delay the game?"
I'd very happily take a couple of quick questions, if that's okay. No, we're not allowed questions. One question, because I've spoken too much. You're so enthusiastic, yes. Why is the game delayed? Because we haven't finished it. Well, because it's a big, complex game with lots of behaviors, and it takes a unit of time. And if anyone's ever done any project management, they'll know that's the hardest thing to do in the world. So to quantify how long a task is going to take when you don't know the solution to the problem is an impossible task. Fortunately, we've only delayed a tiny amount of time. We've only delayed once, and it's only 2 months. Uncharted delayed 4 times. Am I allowed to say that? Uncharted delayed 4 times, right?
So, I don't think that was a GDC. I think it was a different event, sonar event maybe. But yes, I think somebody is going to ask something when it's time to speak. And I think that Sean Murray is going to be backed into a corner. It's going to be very interesting to see how he deals with any sort of question other than just him talking about the maths. IBN, if there's a way to pronounce it, I'm sorry. IBN says, I would like to see multiplayer and greater customization options. Bingo. Yes, I do agree. I really do agree. Tim says, I wish for random impact events and giant creatures. I agree too. And then he adds on to that, maybe random and rare walking around NPCs. 100% agree. 100% agree. I think that the NPCs that we have, standing in the space stations and at the trade stations and things like that, I think that it wouldn't be hard for them to put them walking around. If they got animals walking around and aliens walking around, they got the bipedal Gek-looking things, the bipedal Teletubby-looking things walking around. So why not, generate a Korvax or a Viking or a Gek to be walking around? I don't see that being difficult, unless they just don't see the need for it. Because why would you have it? Why not? Just why not? I would also like to see cities too. Let's see. Grave says, I would like to see this game's full potential, a proper sky, cloud system, rivers, volcanoes, general natural phenomena, including planets with biomes, a proper physics engine. I know that's asking for a bit much. I'm curious about the rumored pet system, what the rumored pet system is all about. Just over time, gradually filling in the space, more sentient species, procedural, industrialized zones, galaxy-class starships. Man, mainly I hope people work on it for the rest of their lives. LOL. And what Tim said, natural disasters would be amazing. All good things, good things. Jason says, I'd love to be on the show, Ron, but as for ideas, share your views on what you hope will be in the next installments. And I will. I'll do that at the end of this video here. Any other games that you think got things right that No Man's Sky could emulate? Oh, definitely. And Man Alive, I want the center to be a hub instead of a restart where all the players meet in a cloud-like hub, like Dark Souls, where they can choose to venture off together. Also, if they decided to cut down the number of star systems to the algorithm, however you spell it, formula has less planets to spread its variables across, creating more diversity of planets, maybe from 18 quintillion to 1 quintillion. It's a lot. It's still a lot. I agree. I think that 18 quintillion, it's just a bit much. And you're right. If they cut it down, they could probably spread out that variation a little bit better. So I'm going to talk about what I hope the future updates are going to be at the end of the video. But any other games that you think got things right? I would like to say Star Citizen, but we haven't really played it yet. There's a couple of modules and early access parts of the game that we can play, but I haven't played where I can land on a planet yet, and I just really haven't experienced the full game. I do play it from time to time, especially whenever they update it. I go in and check it out. I don't know. I don't think anybody has got things emulated the way that I think Hello Games envisioned No Man's Sky to be. I don't think they got it. Hello Games didn't get No Man's Sky the way they envisioned it, and it wasn't the way that we envisioned it. So I think that the offer is actually still on the table out there for some aspiring developers to actually pick up the torch and run with it. And hopefully we see it within the next 10 years. And I think we will. I really think we will. Something big is going to come out here sooner or later. Identity, it's not a space game, but they are trying to tackle the ambition genre, so to speak, and come out with something really amazing. But as far as what I think Hello Games is trying to nail, I really hope somebody does come out and actually do it. Andy says, I would eventually like to see the following. And to go back on that, to go back on what I think, Hello Games didn't, Hello Games did not nail their vision for No Man's Sky. But they're not giving up. They haven't given up yet. So it's going to be interesting to see where they go with it and to see if they can actually get to that point before somebody else does. And since Hello Games did usher in the open universe genre, they didn't usher it in, but they tried to dream. They tried to overreach and build upon that. And so with that, I really hope that they're the ones that actually do get to what they envisioned it to be, and not somebody else. But it is sort of like, passing on the torch to somebody else. So eventually, we're going to get there somewhere, sometime. Andy says, I would eventually like to see the following: the ability to fly low, being able to shoot the ground, and being able to mine for resources this way, being able to land on asteroids, as stated by Sean Murray. But the whole landing on asteroids, he did say at the time, yes, you can. That means it's possible they're going to change it. Piloting of freighters, I agree. I agree with that. I really do agree with that. Being able to, just go into your freighter and that's it. We should be able to pilot those things. More varied planets, an example, different biomes. Portals must also work. Ship prices and cargo sizes to vary, and the options to customize your ship is a must. The ability to build a base anywhere. I can see what having a ATV is going to. I can't see what having an ATV is going to achieve. I doubt this is going to make the gameplay any better. No, the game, it's not going to make it. I don't know if it's going to make it better, but an ATV is definitely going to make things easier in survival mode, because you'll be able to use that without, spending your life support. So I really want an ATV in survival mode. I would like to revert back to Jason Woolley real quick and give him a shout out, as he commented again saying that he loves the show, and we are lucky to have you here in the Cobra TV community, buddy. Really, really lucky. Dennis says Planetary and Galactic Coordinate System. I agree. Alex says, could you do a compare No Man's Sky versus Everspace versus Star Citizen versus Elite Dangerous? The only way that I could compare it, Star Citizen's really hard right there, because if you took No Man's Sky and you took Elite Dangerous and put them together, you get what Star Citizen's trying to create. So I wouldn't really want to compare No Man's Sky to Star Citizen or Elite Dangerous to Star Citizen, because Star Citizen, they're really trying to reach for the stars, so to speak. Everspace, though, Everspace is it's almost like the space combat in No Man's Sky, but better, like way better. I mean, the Everspace has some pretty amazing combat there. But as far as comparing them, I really want to do that, because the beauty about today, we have all these space games and they are all different in their own right. Elite Dangerous is so much different than No Man's Sky, and Everspace is, even though it's just one part of it's just a space combat. I mean, it's a different game with different, they're just different space games to own. And I mean, these aren't, I never look at space games as being like, okay, I can only have one. Although we do want a game, I personally want a game that I can sink in a lot of time and pretty much shut off all other games and just focus on that one game. I do that a lot. But as we all do, games, we all get bored with a game after a certain period of time. And that's why it's great when you're bored with No Man's Sky that Elite Dangerous does exist, and you can just pop that in and play it. And when you get bored with that and you just want to, cruise around and play a roguelike game in space combat, you can pop in some Everspace. And when you're dreaming that all these could be mashed together, you got us waiting for Star Citizen. So, I don't really want to compare them. They're all special to me in their own right. Peter says, I'd like to see deep sea creatures, big, and would be cool to find rare treasures in caves and underwater also generated. So one of a kind. Yeah, that'd be kind of cool, especially if there's like some kind of, mystery on that planet. And on each planet, there's something that you can find, like you can come across a map somewhere. There's only maybe one location you can find it. Maybe it's in you have to break into a manufacturing facility and get the map, and then you go on a treasure hunt. That'd be kind of cool. Also, if weapons, Jason comments again, Jason Woolley, and says also if weapons and unlocks were progressive and not random, but also much rarer to find, to really encourage exploration would be mint. I agree. That is a very good idea. Darwin says more variety in the procedural generation. Agreed again. Steven, give No Man's Sky community their darn ground vehicles and lower altitude flight. Yes, I do want the ground vehicles and the lower altitude flight. That's a must, but I can see why they did it. It's because there's two forms of generation. When you're flying, you're at a certain procedural generation level, and then when you land, as we can all see, the final stages of the procedural generation like form, and how you could be up there and it doesn't look like there's grass yet, and then you land, you're like, oh, there is grass here. So I think that there's something there that they got to get fixed first before they can actually give us free flight to where it would make sense. I don't know. I know that there's a mod, so I haven't seen what that mod looks like when you're flying low, if it actually generates the grass in detail or if you still have to land the ship and get out to see it. I'm not quite sure. Chris says VR is the only thing that I care for. Exploring a whole universe in VR would be the ultimate experience. Just imagine how it would looking at a new solar system through your VR headset, landing on an alien planet, taking a closer look at aliens, mining stuff, building a base, and all other things that you could do in No Man's Sky as if you were really there. I would play that game 24/7. I agree, that would be really cool. Chris Millard says, I reckon we'll be getting an update soon. Think it's about same time as from launch to the first major patch of content, as from then till now, maybe beginning of March. Yes, I agree. It's going to be soon-ish. I don't want to say soon because I don't want people to get all hyped up and everything, but I don't think it's going to be like right around the corner. When we got the Foundation update, we were seeing that the internal branch was getting updated like every other day. And I don't think we're seeing super activity, but we are seeing activity on the internal branch. Ronald says, waiting on space whales. Yeah, that would be really cool. Christopher Winslow, a lot of Christophers here. There's a lot of Chris's here. I second the question from Tim Ashley to Sean Murray. If you could go back to the beginning, knowing what you know now, what would you do differently? Probably keep the computers off the floor. Sharon says, I personally would like side quests. I agree, and we got kind of small ones, but they're not, really nothing to write home about. With getting the builder in and the scientist in, things like that. But like I said, it's not too side questy, but it's a start. I hope they actually build on that. Let's see. Marco says Galactic Hub. I'm glad you're back. Thanks, Marco. I appreciate that. Galactic Hub, yes, something I definitely want so bad. Christopher says, I personally would get the most use out of one submersible vehicle. It is painfully slow and often deadly decision to go exploring far out at sea. Full control of my ship in the atmosphere, not being able to fly low is annoying. Agreed on both. Roy says being able to skin and or rename your ship. 100% agree with that. I think we need to have a little bit of customization on our ships, and I think we definitely need to name ours. In my survival mode, I got mine named Rust Bucket, but it's not named that in the game. But I think it'd be cool to add a little bit of a little personality to your own gameplay. And we got Brandon. I want them to add planet orbit, planet rotation, more varieties, reasons to stay on a planet and call it home, and things that make you want to walk around the whole planet. Like you could be on a beautiful planet, but it's the same all the way around. And make the planets much bigger, Earth size, like they said, and land vehicles, and take that anti-crash lock off the spacewalks, and have more brands of ships. Take the anti-crash lock off and spacewalks and have more brands of ships. Like there's a big bulky ones, the ones that look like they are made from scrap metal, the small freighters, but add more like modern tech ships and really big ships that you can find land vehicles in, that you can put land vehicles in. But by the way, these are just ideas. I don't want they to just have this in the update. It's just things that would be cool. Yeah, I agree. Let's see. Devin says, I know this isn't about No Man's Sky, but I was wondering if you knew any word on Megaton Rainfall. He's still promising me a interview. We're communicating through email. He wants to come on the show and give an interview, but I think he's having a little bit of trouble about, the game. I don't think he's having trouble with the game. I know he did not want to do 60 frames per second for his release because, something about how movies are shot in 30 frames and under per second, so that way it gives like that cinema look to it. I think he wanted that for his game, and he kind of got shunned by the VR community of developers and people that would produce his game, and said that you have to do 60 frames per second because you're going to create motion sickness, and also there wasn't on his game like a cockpit or anything like that to like ground the player's eyes. It was just a free floating cam, and I guess it would give people headaches and motion sickness and things like that. So I think he had to do quite a bit of adjustment to the game to be able to get it onto VR, because VR is his he's really adamant about making sure this game is VR compatible. But he did tell me that he's going to be making a trailer really soon, so hopefully when that trailer gets released, he can finally come on the show. Let's see, Jim says, my holy grail of hopes, add humanoid forms, solo and in groups, tribes, some friendly, some aggressive, and for us to be able to engage in combat with them on the fly. They add those elements and I'll be incredibly satisfied with No Man's Sky. So I think humanoid forms, I think what he's talking about is humanoid forms walking around more in depth than the bipedal creatures that we see here and there on some of the planets. I agree, I really do. And I think that they were trying to do that at one point in time, because if you remember the episode a long time ago when I figured out what Bo Lam's Pinterest account was, and I posted a video about that, and we went looking through all those pictures. They had tons and tons of tribes, pictures of tribes, and this was an account for No Man's Sky. And I think that they were planning on something like that a while back. I think that Hello Games had more planned for No Man's Sky than what made it into the game, and more things planned that they even mentioned, like the tribes. There was tons of tribal pictures and references and things like that. Not in-game pictures, but references for an artist. So yes, Jim, I really hope something like that does eventually make it into the game. And then Lindman here says, more history, lore, and mysteries. That fourth race could open up a lot of possibilities just that. I agree. I think that mysteries, that is one thing. Let's go ahead and get into what I expect out of No Man's Sky. Let's go ahead and put the forefront of what I hope and dream is multiplayer, whether that's in a form of PvE or PvP or just co-op, or I don't know. Just I want to be able to play with you guys and go exploring the stars, maybe pirate hunting, or do a Lasher plant killing session. Something like that would be fun. So multiplayer is at the top and forefront of my list. Now, what Lemon here says about more history, lore, and mysteries. The mysteries part, I think that Hello Games needs to throw a few mysteries in there for us to figure out on a universal level. And I think that, they need to throw a few in there that we just simply cannot crack on our own. And, we have the portals. Nobody can figure out how to get them to work. A lot of the data miners said that they're not active in the game. I don't think anybody's 100% sure what's going on with the portals. But for a while there, everybody was making these videos on how to crack the portals, and everyone was onto the puzzle, and they were investigating, and forums, they were working together, and there was these databases on some of these wikis, and people on Reddit were talking about it and going over the clues and mysteries and things like that. It was probably one of the most amazing things I've ever seen come out of a video game before. I know it's been done before. I know that, GTA, the jetpack thing, I get it. But I didn't pay attention to how the community was going on with the jetpack and GTA 5, I'm sorry. But, you know, I wasn't really following that, but I did follow the whole portal thing, and it was just so amazing to see how many people were going crazy trying to figure this out. And now, looking back, I'm thinking to myself, maybe there isn't. Maybe there isn't a way to activate the portals. Maybe there's no mystery. But it was really fun to see everybody working together, and I think that for Hello Games to throw a mystery in there, some that are easy to crack and some that are not, no, that would be amazing. I would really love to see that happen in No Man's Sky. Land vehicles. Yes, land vehicles. It looks like that's going to be an update. Come on. You could probably already say it's confirmed. But again, you don't want to, but it's looking that way. So land vehicles. And as I said before, a better adversary, a universal adversary, something that we all have in common dealing with, and not something that's an annoyance, but something that's fun, something that has a story behind it. And so I'm not talking about the pirates, but a different adversary, and that's something I really want to see in the game. A better, and with that, may as well add a better story. Not one that we can learn of from the past, but one that we can learn of that's happening right now. So most of the lore that's in the game, we're learning about the past before the travelers have arrived, before we arrived. And I think that we need a current story, a present story. And that's possibly what they're working on now. They're building upon the lore that was already written, because to change that lore, to change the story of Herc and, all that stuff, man, that would be horrible if they changed that. But to build on it and create new problems off of that history, I think would be amazing. And I can't wait to see what they're going to do with that. I would like to see building be a little bit better, a lot more options. I understand why you can only build in certain places, because they have to make sure that the ground's nice and flat and it's buildable. And I think that the game recognizes that is a place to remember for any modifications added to it. So that way it's a rendering thing. I don't know. Some of the things that I want to see that aren't in the game, but they're in my 48-page art book, is also in the trailers, is the gigantic towers that look like they were going to be trade stations, not the ones with landing pads on it, but the big giant towers, like the one that's in the montage trailer from like 2014, 2015, I can't remember, it looked like a gigantic typewriter or something. That would be amazing to have in the game. Some of those concept arts that they have in the 48-page art book, and if I find a picture of them, I'm going to go ahead and throw them up on the screen here. I want those, man. I really want those in the game. And I would also like to, maybe we can have like one planet in each or every other star system that is a gigantic city. It has a city on it, a big city, and there's some NPCs walking around, give it a little bit of a super sci-fi feel instead of a lonely sci-fi feel. But I get why they don't do that too. But just something that would be cool. Or you can make these things super rare. But the biggest and most thing that I want to see out of the next update, the biggest thing, is I want to see the people who loved No Man's Sky and cherished it and was with us on the journey. I want to see those people happy again, even if it's just for another short burst. Well, guys, this has been amazing. We're going to be putting out the Planet Nomads video within the next couple of days. There's a lot of good news out of the early access. Cannot wait to get in there and play that. But as always, I do love you guys. Thank you so much for coming back. Thank you so much for staying. And I guess I'll see you guys in the next video. Until next time.